being here with you, my church family, in our church home. So many of you have touched my life over the years, sharing God's love through your care for me. I wanted to list all the names, but it would take a long time.
A nice 20-year-old Jewish boy with a Catholic mother walked into a Methodist church on a Sunday morning in 1963. He was there by invitation from a lifelong member to attend his first ever Christian worship service. He was curious. He was intrigued by the stories he heard of this other nice Jewish boy named Jesus, and so he kept coming. In time, he was baptized and later became a member. It became his Christian family and his Christian home for the next 62 years. It has been my Christian family and Christian home. Some of you may be wondering, why haven't I seen this guy if he's been around here so long? Well, I did get involved. For 9 years, I was the director at Koinonia Retreat Center, where I was busy Monday weekends. And for 26 years after that, I helped lead music and worship for the Sacred Journey services that met in the art gallery. Then there was Soul Cafe on Sunday evenings and Fat Tuesday jazz services and Loring Park Easter festivals and theaters off campus, and a continuous succession of small groups that met elsewhere during the week. Over all these years and experiences, I've never felt like I left the big tent of Hennepin Church. Although, at times, it seemed like I was barely inside the outside flap. That's because I've always been welcomed here for exactly who I am and with whatever I have to offer. Always. Now, like everyone else, I'm quirky, peculiar, imperfect, even strange, and also beautiful. But I have grown more at home with myself and closer to God as I've been embraced here over and over. Along the way, there's also been heartache that has tenderized me, made me more able to share my vulnerability and deepen my relationships. But what I really want to talk to you about this morning is my life in jazz and its role in my soul journey. Jazz was the music my father played for his living, the music I first tried on our piano when I was 10, the music I started playing on guitar during my teens and continue to play as recently as a few weeks ago. But I love jazz not just as a style of music. I love the process and the method of jazz. It's a way of making music that's both collaborative and improvisational. In a jazz group, everyone is playing the same song, while at the same time, each person is simultaneously creating their own part, freely, moment to moment. It's not chaos. It's not chaos because everyone is listening so intently and is committed to the task, supporting one another, adding whatever they can to make the music better. Isn't this a model for every team and every community, for the church itself? Individual expression and group cohesion happening at the same time? Every contribution honored and incorporated? Curiosity dancing with playfulness. This in-the-moment process is a way we can all make music of all kinds with one another. This is a way we can be church and invite others to join the band. This life in jazz is the holy food I've been given to offer. what I can bring to the party. This is who I have become in your midst and with your love. This is how I am fearfully and wonderfully made. I know that collaboration is always possible, that improvisation is always possible, always. Even now, when my life is being upended by Jan's Alzheimer's, my latest heartache. Jan has never played a musical instrument, but she and I are now like two jazz musicians in an intimate duet, improvising with the themes of sorrow and gratitude. Actually, dementia is like the third member of our ensemble, providing a relentless daily drumbeat. Jan and I are making this up as we go. We're making the road by walking, but not alone, not alone. Supported by family and dear church friends, accompanied by the sure presence of God and by that guy, Jesus. And I'm still here, still insatiably curious, still finding deep connections, still laughing, still loving good questions. Like, for example, who is this Jesus anyway?
Good morning. I'm Margie Oleson. I was born under an Aquarius sun and a Leo moon. And if you don't believe in astrology or aren't even familiar with it, it provides a nice framework for the battle that's been going on in my head since I was born, which is Aquarius can represent that big picture, looking very far ahead, 100,000 foot elevation, while Leo is in the moment. Me, let's do this thing, let's make it happen. I once heard a person introduce me to someone and say she sees a bigger picture than anyone I've ever known. And when we used to have to balance our checkbooks, I balanced to the penny. But each of my moments is a struggle. I actually saw that word online. This combination of big picture and in the moment can be a struggle. How do I plan travel? How do I plan finances? How do I make decisions about where I live and what I'm doing with my time? And that has also been an impact on my spiritual journey. So I grew up in a family that moved every year, sometimes twice a year, was baptized Catholic, confirmed Lutheran, went to different churches wherever we were living, and I was the drop-off kid. They weren't coming in, they were dropping me off. And it really spoke to me, and one year I lived next door to a family that I went with them to their church where they were speaking in tongues and doing healings. And so I've had this experience, but all along the way, this intuitive side of me, this spiritual side, was much more wiser than the in the moment, believing the rules and having sadness about what I was learning in church. So church was a place that women didn't lead and didn't question. And my human side was sad about that. Didn't really know what to do about that. My spiritual side, my intuitive side was like, what? Really? That's really what we're saying? And so when I've noticed as I've visited different churches and become part of the membership, I think my journey has been one of questioning, but also choosing. And so when I came to Hennepin Avenue Methodist, it was my first day of my first item on the list of church shopping for a new church. So if we think about the spirituality, I can get that from the life I'm living and all the different ways that I'm reading and talking to people and taking classes and learning. And the church part, being here in the moment, is what's being talked about, and the other items on my list, the music and the people and the message. And my very first visit to my very first church on my list, Reverend Elizabeth was at the pulpit And she was talking about what was going on in the world, and she was being honest about it. And I looked in the events for future items, and we talked about white nationalism and what can happen in the world. And my human side breathed a sigh of relief. So my spiritual side was always aware that patriarchy and these rules made absolutely no sense. When the human in me was becoming educated and learning in a variety of ways, including astrology, but also reading and classes and energy and learning about different religions, finding out that the messages that I had been receiving in church were the messages that all world religions have, and all cultures and all tribes, even today's Psalms. Those are words that can apply all around the world. There's nothing uniquely Christian about those principles, and that's what spoke to me as a human being and as a spiritual being. Even something like the story of Samson and Delilah. First I learned the Bible story, and then I learned, it has metaphors. It's got symbolism around temptation and lust, but then I learned, it's more than that. It's metaphysical. It's you have power if you perceive you have power. So that told me that I need to question all of the other stories that I ever heard, and what does it really mean to be a human in this experience? I had a patriarchal moment in a history exam, final, when I learned that, did you know the first air pilots were women? So in the US, which is where air travel started, it was hard to get that industry off the ground, no pun intended. And so they hired and trained a bunch of women to be pilots so people could feel comfortable about getting into this machine and going in the air. Once it did develop and the whole thing became an industry, do you know that they fired every one of those pilots? And so that told me the human part is imperfect, and the spiritual part, the intuitive part, knows. And so I came here and will continue to grow my human side and my spiritual side, and the human side says, yay, and the spiritual side says, thank God.
Thank you.
Good morning. Don't get the wrong idea. Elizabeth told me to stand here. So Elizabeth asked me to speak to what fills my soul. And so I've got several things that occurred to me, but I've not had a consistent habit of prayer. But a while ago, Bill Tipping led a group of men in a spiritual gathering, and he offered some simple ideas about prayer. And since then, I've leaned into it. And now, I start every day with prayer. I find that this rather obvious practice brings me peace, grace, forgiveness, and purpose. And it's been filling my soul. I recommend it. Should you have further questions about the power of prayer, please see Bill Tipping right after worship. I have also awakened to the wonder of nature. This may seem strange, since I rarely leave a 6-block area centered in southwest Minneapolis. But now I see the trees, the flowers, the birds and other animals, and I can see the peace, beauty, and holiness of it all. Over the past few years, God has been working on me and opening my spirit to see with different eyes. And I am now seeing the beauty and interconnectedness of nature, and it fills my soul. I've spent my career as a desk worker, a screen worker, and as you can tell from my physique, I don't move enough. Yeah. But when Christy and I get on the tandem and ride around the city, suddenly I'm filled with peace and energy and love for the people I see. It fills my soul, and I need to do more of it. And finally, the thing that fills my soul is the Hobart. Yep, the Hobart AM-14. You've probably seen me downstairs beside the stalwart Hobart. And like the miraculous work of Christ, and with the help of the Hobart, the unclean is made clean. When we wash dishes, we have one person on the dirty side spraying off dishes. This is consistent with Scripture. The other person works the clean side, putting the clean dishes away. This follows the admonition of the Apostle Paul in 2 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 17. Therefore, come out from them and be separate from them, says the Lord, and touch nothing unclean. And so, friends, when you come down for brunch, you can rest easy in the knowledge that your dishwashers are not only following good safety practices, but they are walking in the ways of the Lord. But seriously, what fills me most is this: being here with you, my church family, in our church home. So many of you have touched my life over the years, sharing God's love through your care for me. I wanted to list all the names, but it would take a long time. I hope you know who you are. You are the saints of the church, and you are a blessing to me and to our world. And I thought, why do they love me? I mean, you know the crazy uncle at Thanksgiving? The older I get, the more I realize, Bri, you're the crazy uncle. So why do all these wonderful folks at Hennepin care about me? And the reason is finally dawning on me. They love me because they know something about God's love in their own lives, and they're sharing that love with me because it's who they are. It's who you are. And that fills my soul. Thank you.